Alright, we're going to talk about water conservation. So this is to talk about water conservation. Water is extremely important in our world, and you can see that there is a big ocean here. There is not a very big percentage of our water. If you filled a whole like 10-gallon aquarium with water, just take out about 10 or 20 drops of that, like eyedropper full of water, and that's how much water we have on the world that is fresh water. So the aquarium represents the salt water, or all the water, and the little droppers represent everything else. So we have a limited amount of water. Most of your water for showering and bathing comes from underground and a Floridian aquifer that we talked about in another video. But what we do to the water affects everything. Like if you throw trash out the window, that will end up in the aquifer some way, somehow. All the pollutants that you put on the land, such as fertilizers and pesticides and everything else, ends up in the water. All the other things that you put down the toilet goes down into the water and keeps going. But yes, water is very important, and there's all kinds of tests and different things that you can do to test this water. And what happens is water naturally comes and drops out of the air and drops onto our land. And on our land is where it picks up all kinds of things. I believe there's an EnviroScape model video on our website that shows what happens when water hits our land and picks up like oil from your house and different pollutants. But it all ends up in the water. But yes, looking at this water, you may think, oh, well, I can drink this water, and you do not know where this water has been. The problem is you don't know what's upstream from this, so there could be a septic tank system or something else that's going right into this water body. So this water is what you would term polluted, but we can control this. We can stop putting trash on our land. We can limit what goes onto our land by using natural means to control different bugs and things on our yard. Our yard doesn't have to be perfect. You see this stream, how it meanders and goes straight into this ocean. This ocean, depending on how much nastiness goes into it, can get really polluted. And out here we have what's called red tide. And red tide is a fish kill that happens when there's a certain bacteria that explodes, and it causes different things to happen, and lots and lots and lots of fish die every it's usually there's a big red tide outbreak every 5 or 10 years or so. So it does matter what goes into your water. So think about the next time that you're throwing something out your window, or you're going along and you see all kinds of different things going on in your land. And everyone can make a difference. We can, with water conservation, every little drop helps. Take shorter showers. When you're using water, use it more sustainably. Don't just have on water for the sake of having on water. If you have on a sink and you step away, turn off the water. You can limit the amount of showers that you do. You can also, what I've actually done is have a bucket in my bathtub, so every time that I try to get the water heated, I have a bucket under there catching all that water, and then I reuse that water for other things. You can either like dump it into the back end of your toilet, so you're conserving water that way, or you can use that water on plants outside that need watering. Thankfully, Florida does have a lot of fresh water. If you are out west, they have a very limited supply of water, and most of the time it's what's called allocated, so it's there's only a certain amount of water that you can have. And out here it looks like we have a lot of water. The problem with all this water that you're seeing is it is salty. It is salt water. There are ways of making this salt water into fresh water, but it costs lots and lots and lots of money, which they're working on now. But your water bill, if it goes to, it's called desalination, if it goes to this, then your water bills are going to go up by a lot. Thankfully we do have water underground because of the aquifer and other things that get recharged. But if we keep taking more and more and more and more water out of there and misusing it and using it for all kinds of things, then we're going to run out of clean water, and then the water that we're using is just going to be what's called recycled, which tends to happen. All the water that goes in your toilet and down the sink will go to a water treatment plant, and they will do their best to clean out a whole lot of different pollutants out of the water, but the water is still somewhat dirty. They can't get out everything. There's certain, but they put in chlorine and other things to help in other things in order to control what your body, what comes out of the tap. A lot of people now prefer water treatment filters on their tap, and they will drink it that way. We can use water that is not as clean, like on our exterior. As long as it doesn't go in our body, we're good. But you still can have issues in some of our lakes and stuff. We have issues, especially when you keep dumping fertilizers and having bacterial outbreaks. Like out west, there was a thing called cyanobacteria, or blue-green cyanobacteria, that was causing fish kills, and if you drink that water or allow that water to touch you, it can get you really sick and even kill you. But there's a lot of groups like the U.S. Geological Survey and DEP and Northwest Water District that all monitor the water on a daily basis and see what's in it. And they take different test strips and different things, and if you wanted to, you could go to like a pond store and you could get these test strips, and it would show you different elements of the water. It's like, is the pH up or down, is the temperature up or down, and these are different things that you yourself can do. There are a lot of water monitoring groups out there that you can volunteer your time with. I don't know any off the top of my head, but they are always good to monitor. And you see all this seaweed. This is another thing that can pollute an area. It is natural. However, what you're eating has caused this. There are shrimp trawlers that are out there in the ocean, and they get your shrimp and fish and other things, and they scrape the bottom and they destroy habitat and rip up coral and other things, and then all of it gets deposited here on our beach. So if you're at the beach and you see a pile of seaweed, sometimes there's natural events that rip the seaweed out, but that's not usually the case. Most of the seaweed comes from something that is dragging along the ground. Seaweed doesn't naturally just break off. Sometimes it does, but not very often. But our water is very important because we like to fish and we like to boat, like this person here. You can see we like to hang out at the beach like I am now. We can go to the dock and go fishing and different things. But it's how we use the water and in order to make this sustainable. Just think about your grandkids, what you would want them to be living in and living with. So it's up to you to make a difference and make a change. and conserve places like this. However, in 20 years from now, this place may have condominiums going up along the shoreline. But this will probably look a lot different, because what happens is we have hurricanes that, as a side note, hurricanes will hit this area and will cause a lot of the shoreline to move and to go from one place to another. And this is also a natural nesting area for sea turtles. So if you're on this shoreline and you see a sea turtle, leave it alone. It's probably nesting and needs a place for it to be. So, but yeah, this is water conservation talk. Thank you for joining me. And wetlands is a part of this, and there is a wetland video that I posted on our website, so take a look. But thank you for joining me. But just remember, we all share this body of water. It's not just humans that share this, but we have birds and alligators and possum and raccoon and beaver and fish and all kinds of other critters that like to live in water, and we do too. So just make sure that you're using water conservatively. Until next time, bye for now.